Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's time for Fantasy Focus. My name is Toffees. I am joined by the brightest fantasy experts we can put together for PGC 2023. It is Porosaurus, Paper Thin, and the name is Toby. We're going to break down the picks, who to look at, and what to get done. But first, you got to understand what exactly fantasy is and how you win. Let's start out by talking about how to pick your team.
Hey, thanks, Toffees. We are going to talk about how to pick your team right now. So you only get to pick one player per team. Each team total of 4 players within your $100,000 budget. Now, it may seem like a lot, but once you start getting to those good players, that money starts going real quick. So you also get one player as a sub. Your budget is, it includes the value of the lowest active player on your squad. You also get to pick one player as your captain, which is going to give you another extra 1.3 times the points on that captain. So make sure you choose wisely.
Paper Thin, let's talk about exactly how that point system works, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So you get points based on players doing various things in the game. First of all, kills. One of the most important things in PUBG esports. You get 2 points per kill. Doesn't matter how they get it, they just got to get it. Damage. If players are doing a lot of damage, you get points from that. For every 100 points of damage your player does, you get 1 point. Now, if your player makes it all the way to the end of a game and gets the chicken dinner, you get 5 points. That's the big prize right there. But, however, if your player dies early, let's say they get involved in a hot drop or some kind of skirmish in the early part of the game, if they die before the first 10 minutes, you lose 3 points. You got to be careful with who you pick.
You got to watch out for that death before 10. And keep in mind, if you do bad, it doesn't matter. You have a chance to change your roster because we have different leagues for every single bracket. You have a chance to put the best team forward. Prices change before each bracket based on the player's performance so far in the event. And here's the new one. You can change your captain and up to 1 player each time. Now, let's talk about our picks. So let's start out. Number 1, Paper Thin. Who are you looking at for your roster?
I mean, first and foremost, it's tough to pick because there's so many players who are so good above $30,000. You want one of those big point earners out the gate. I'm going to go a little bit off of my usual picks, and I'm going to go for Shen from Tyloo. Absolutely insane fragger. He's going to be my captain as well. This guy can get it done in so many different ways. He's been around for a really long time, kind of now just starting to pick up the pace. Now is finally able to get on a big team. Love this guy's potential. Next up, Tycon. You got to love Tycon, this superstar. He exploded onto the scene a couple years ago. Even though Hemas has kind of taken over the big fragger role for Cerberus, Tycon is still an absolute force of nature. Then I go over to Salute for Donawa. I just like Donawa as a squad. They're a team that's really smart, really crafty. Salute at times can really pop off. He's got a lot of clutch potential, so could get some of those extra survival points. Finally, Pow Pow, probably the best value pick that we're going to have here. I think a lot of us can agree on this. This guy went absolutely nuts in the PCL this year, was the 2nd top fragger in the PCL finals. He was such a good value for his price point.
All right, let's check in with Poro. Poro, talk to me about Poro's picks.
It's crazy, man. I feel like Paper and I are like linked because I went back and forth on Shen versus Soul. And Shen, obviously, amazing player, extremely good early value. But Soul, my God, that guy has been putting up amazing numbers all year long. Every single event, he is outperforming his cost. That means he's getting more points per game than his cost would imply that he should get. I couldn't figure out a way. To get Shen and Soul on the same roster. They just cost too much. So I had to go with Soul, but then I backed it up with Tycon for all the same reasons that you said. Furthermore, a Hymas, while he is an amazing player, is a little bit more expensive. I feel like you're going to get similar value for the less cost for Tycon out of those 2 players. Pow Pow, same thing. Tiamba is going to absolutely wreck. Now, when it came to the final player that I had, it's not because I'm from NA, but Paige has been absolutely nuts lately. He's been insane for Space Station, and for the price that you're getting him at, it's amazing. And he's also a very high value that let me have another high value pick as my sub, which I went with Ming from Petrichor Road. So if Paige happens to start off a little bit slower, if any of these guys start off a little bit slower in the group stage, I feel like Ming and Petrichor Road, that's a really good option to have to fill in case that happens.
Love that. All right, Toby, you've been improving and getting actually pretty gosh darn good at fantasy over the last 2 years here. In fact, I heard you crushed Martin in the qualifier rounds, and that's why you're in the chair today. So tell us about your vision on how to win.
Well, I mean, I mean, to go pretty much right down the line, one click of a mouse away from having the exact same team as Paper, I too went with Shen. And for the same reasons that was mentioned before, I think Shen is a powerhouse of a player. We had our concerns when we first saw Tai Lu on the global stage, but he came out delivered. When he didn't, when he started falling off a bit, Xiao Yang was instantly there to step up and kind of lift Shen back up to just perform even better. So I think not only does he have what he needs to thrive when things go against him, he knows that he has his teammates there to kind of boost him back up. Tycon, again, for the exact same reasons that both Power and Paper picked him as well. He's a phenomenal player, and being one of the youngest players in all of the tournament altogether, he has so much potential. Now over to my third pick. I was gonna go with Salute, but opted to go a little out of my usual way in picking Kickstart. And we know Kickstart obviously recently changed over from Luminosity to Sonics. I'm hoping to see Sonics come off to a strong start this tournament, and I think if we are going to see a strong Sonics in this tournament, it's going to have to be right from the get-go. Kickstart adds a ton of firepower to the roster that they already had a ton, but now they get even more. If they want to thrive, they got to go out and do it early. And then Power, again, back to the same reasons as you guys. We saw him play at PGS1. He's proven himself on LAN.
I like it. I like it. I don't know how I feel about one of your picks, but we'll get to that in a sec. I want to talk about what I put up there. This is maybe a little bit of a difference from you guys. I chose to spend the big money. I said High Mass is going to be putting up those big numbers. Early group stages, you got to go with the proven horses. Plus, with the ability to substitute a player later on, that high-value player might be someone that you can swap out for someone else who's performing no matter what their numbers look like. I trust him. I know he's going to step up. I got Shrimzy. Here's the thing. In this stage, I believe you got to pick a team, not a player. You got to have a Sonics player on that roster. They're going to show up. They generally do at the early group stages. Trust me, Poro. I know you're probably shaking your head if you're watching right now, but they're going to come up. Shrimzy, good value. He's a big push. Pow, other than the fact that he's named after a sound effect when I win this thing, he is value. You heard Paper talk about his performance in their own region. He's going to be just as strong here, and at 18.6, get him while you can, because that price is going to skyrocket over the course of this event. Finally, Paige. I think he's got a big upside, but we have to see how he does during the group stages. If he shows up at the beginning, he's going to go the distance. If he doesn't, then it's time to swap him out and not feel bad about it. I've got Ming on the bench on standby, so if Paige drops the ball day one, Ming is going in on day number 2. Those are our picks. It is going to be awesome. Fantasy is the best way for you to get involved with this event. You head over to Twire, you make that team, you get nice and strong, and get a chance to brag about your friends, or even send us tweets telling us how much better at fantasy you are than us, because I love that sort of thing, especially when it's going to one of these other 3. Guys, it is almost time for PGC 2023. We are going to crown the best team in the world when it comes to PUBG. Don't go anywhere, because this is the event to watch.